Hi, and welcome to episode 426 of Control Talk Now, where we talk about all things HVAC and smart building controls, including sales and marketing. I'm so glad you're here. In a minute, we're going to be talking with one of the all-time greats in our industry, Joe Chandler. Joe is with Brody Precision, and we're going to chop it up with Joe. We're going to talk about several different things, including how Joe and the team at Brody are being successful with ABB's Building Automation Control System. That's right, folks. ABB does more than just drives. They actually have a very potent BAS system, and Joe's going to tell us all about it. But before we get to Joe, we have a new sponsor for this week's show. Our sponsor this week is Belimo. And I've been a Belimo distributor for over 25 years. And I can tell you, well, as anybody who's ever worked with Belimo, just how awesome they are. They have great products and great people, but they're also great educators. If you've ever dealt with Belimo, you know they're always staying ahead of the curve, making quality products that solve problems. I mean, problems people don't even know they have or thought were unsolvable. I can think of so many of them. Heck, they were the company that introduced us to the direct coupled actuators in a time where we all bought solid, clunky, expensive, hard to install indirect actuators and linkages. I could go on and on about their innovative products, including their IAQ sensors and energy valve. But I want to tell you about a different way Belimo is staying ahead of the curve, and something very special Belimo is doing for us. There's a saying in our industry that when new construction slows, retrofit grows. But the retrofit game is changing. And with new requirements like ESG, sustainability, decarbonization, and indoor air quality driving corporations and their brands, there are huge opportunities for those who understand the nuances of this new trend. This is different than the retrofit business most of us are used to. They're new players with new concerns, they're new problems, and new products that solve these problems. So you're going to have to level up your retrofit game if you want to play. The great thing is you don't have to figure any of this out. Belimo's got you covered. They've created a very special online event in which they're going to break down the retrofit opportunities in 2023 and teach you how you can capitalize on what many are seeing as a retrofit boom. You just need to mark your calendar for Thursday, September 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and Belimo will get you in the know and ready to go. Here's the thing. You have to register to get into the event. It's easy. You just click on the link in the show notes, and all you need to do is give them your email, your name, and your company name, and you're in. Belimo's worked really hard to make this event special and useful. So sign up now and be sure to attend. You'll be happy you did. Okay, now on to this week's guest. All right. I am so thrilled today. We have Joe Chandler from Brody Precision back on the show. You'll remember about 2 months ago, Joe came on, shared some of his marketing and sales wisdom. Joe, among other things, is the consummate sales professional. But what makes him so consummate, and I'm using the C word a lot here, is he really understands the technology a lot, and he's really good at explaining it. So, man, Joe, thanks for coming back, man. How you doing?
Doing well, Eric. Doing well. Glad to be back.
It seems like your voice has changed a little bit, dude. What's up with that, man? For you, those of you guys who don't know, Joe is rocking a new microphone. Will you tell our audience about your mic, Joe?
Yeah, this was a recommendation by the great Matt Whitmer, who I work with, who does all of the Brody videos. And I said, "Hey,
Matt, huh?"
Mike, and he was like, "Shure 87. You need this Scarlett interface, and go." And so I did.
Dude, it's a 7B you've got.
Yes,
the
7B.
Shure 7B, not the 87. Come on, man. This is the mic that Joe Rogan uses. This is the mic that Tim Ferriss uses. This is the mic that anybody is using. And I hope when I grow up and become really good at this, I can get one too. So that's what I'm hoping for. But
maybe you get enough subscribers. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go, brother. There you go. All right, man. Well, first of all, state of the industry. How you guys seeing things up at Brody?
So I think we're staying busy, but there's certainly concerns. I think the inflation thing is still lingering out there. We do some work through our contractor base in New York, and that seems like a very peculiar market right now. I think they're having trouble filling those high-rise buildings.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's a lot of that going on, and I think a lot of it is, I've talked about this before on Control Talk, just the nature of how that business rolls. When interest rates are low, it's, man, you borrow as much money as you can. You just pay the interest on it, and then you keep rolling those loans out and out. So you're never really touching the principal. And one of the things I think that's happened, Joe, in addition to COVID and the occupancy rates going down, is now all those loans are starting to come due at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
And the interest rates are high. They can't. But I think the real kicker is, if it was just one or two big companies, they would just sell the real estate, move on down the road. But now you got so many of them that they can't really sell the real estate. And then on top of that, you got all these requirements like ESG and things like that coming around. So they're almost being forced to put money back into the buildings, money they don't necessarily have.
That, and you get stuff like we leased 6 floors on a building. Now we're going to go down to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I think that those things are that's a compounding effect. Now I have empty space. Or I think what's going to happen is, or need to happen is, the owners of these buildings are going to need to figure out how do I go beyond the price per square foot in the attraction of why should we lease from you? Yeah.
No, it was pretty wild at Realcomm IBCon. I know you were there. There was a guy there. I don't know if you caught him or not, man. He did not look like he belonged there. And I got to talk. He had the long hair and all that and the artistic clothes. And this guy was a Hollywood set designer. And one of the things that he was saying that a lot of these companies are doing, they're hiring him to come in and create like an experience in the building, right? He was the guy that did the 3D signs. You remember the 3D things where people that was that guy. So it's like you got certain people that are looking at, to your point, how can we make the building more attractive where people want to come to work, right?
Yes.
So that's cool. But I think that's good for us too, dude, because among other things, I mean, we all do indoor air quality. And I think, being able to say to your tenants, hey, you're going to be safer here, breathing cleaner, fresher air here than you will be anyplace else might be another draw, right?
You got that. And then for guys like you and us, Brody and Stromquist, when you look at the other stuff you can add into a building, I know you and I have talked about this. I sell a lot of LED lighting now.
Yeah.
And it's, all right, if there is less spaces to be occupied, how much can you put in, like, how much can I add to that space contractor base? So those are, you look at those opportunities and go, all right, if I'm already in here, what else can we do for you?
Yeah, no, it's so cool. And to me, you and I both been in the business for a while. You a lot longer than me because you're a good bit older than I am. But we've been through some cycles. And for me, and I want to know if this is true for you too, it seems like when new construction slows, retrofit grows. Has that been your experience over the years?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that you go from the new construction to the retrofit to the Band-Aid and then to we're not doing anything, right? And you hit your home runs on the new construction, but certainly the contractor base, by far and large, they make their money on the retrofit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The margins are higher, but the volume is less.
Absolutely. God, the sponsor of this week's show is Belimo. And I know you guys do a lot with Belimo as we do. And they are like the kings and queens of retrofit, in my opinion. But I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there's going to be a link in the show notes. They've got this thing they've been working on for a while. It's like a retrofit boot camp, for lack of, those are my words, not theirs, but they're going to go through all their products and how they can be retrofitted. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to get the retrofit game back on. And everything from their gas sensors and indoor air quality sensors to temperature, humidity, all the type of things that are spot on with retrofit, right? So we got to be at that.
We found our big success with Belimo, specifically in the retrofit with the zone tight valves.
Yeah.
Adjustable CV valves became right. It wasn't, I don't need to pair up a CV or match or, hey, you got to go back and measure. It was, what's the pipe size? And as long as it's between range A and range B, you're good.
Just drop it in. Yeah.
Just drop it in. And they're an amazing organization for the specialty of SKU numbers that they promote.
I don't know about you. I love the energy valve. I've sold a bunch of energy valves along the way, and we won't go into much detail on the energy valve, but have you sold any of those? That's such an awesome. Let's set it up because this is, Joe, you got to sell some energy valves. The energy valve. Yeah. The deal is what goes on is that think about if you're a consulting engineer, you go in and are you going to take a chance on undersizing the equipment, in which case you have a career ending injury, or like most people, they oversize stuff, right? So everything gets to be a little bit bigger. So what happens is you've got more flow going to your coils than you need to. So what Belimo does, among other things with the energy valve, is they've got a flow sensor. So they're monitoring the flow so you can dial in the flow to your coil. Plus, they got 2 temperature sensors. So it's like a BTU meter as well. Yeah, I'm sure they'll talk about that on this retrofit show that they're going to be doing. So anyway, but I want to shift gears with you real quick. But one last thing to our audience out there. Hey, definitely, you got to sign up for this retrofit thing. It's I don't want to say invitation only, but you just can't show up. It's like you got to sign up. So I'll put the link in. Joe, you'll probably be there. I'll be there. Man, we'll make it happen. It'll be a party.
I'm very curious now. You got me.
All right, brother. All right. Let's shift gears. One of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, I ran into you at a recent event.
Yes.
And you were talking about ABB and your experience with ABB. And I've always thought of ABB as variable frequency drives, but they do a lot more than that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. As we have learned, because when we mention ABB to people, they go, they're the VFD people. And you say, well, they're bigger than that. They did an acquisition of a company called Cylon, who, before they were acquired, they were American Automatrix. And so there's some history there. But ABB, 3 years ago, I believe, acquired the Cylon brand and is now venturing in, or has ventured into, the building automation world. And so we were very early on in looking at the product through distribution and have found a lot of success there.
What had you guys look at it?
So, well, the first thing is there was somebody that had actually worked for another manufacturer, and he went to work there. And
okay.
I saw it on LinkedIn, and then I placed a phone call. I said, tell me about it. And he said, I've been here 2 weeks. Give me a little more time. Introduced me to their local rep. At that time, they were Contractor Direct. Introduced me to the local rep. I got some insight about the product, and it was a courting. They pursued us, we pursued them, and came to an agreement that we should be a distributor for them, and that's where we started. It's been a little over 2 years.
And they have a massive portfolio of products. What specifically are you guys handling for them?
Just their controllers.
Okay.
They like many of the brands, they silo out the different things. The drives are separate, the powering and the metering and that's all a separate division. But in the building automation world, unitary VAV controllers and what they call Fusion Air, but they're wall sensors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And how do are they like JSpace, or is a protocol open? How does that work?
Yeah, they actually go to market simultaneously, but in two different ways. The controllers downstream are all the same, regardless of what the head end product is. But they do have a head end product called Aspect, and they have and that is their own proprietary head end. And then they do a JSpace product called Integra. So it's Niagara based, but the controllers downstream are the same.
So you could, like most control manufacturers, you could mix and match their controllers because they probably are talking BACnet or something like that if you wanted to.
BACnet is BACnet MSTP, BACnet IP. That's the languages they speak. They can live on the same BACnet trunks. They're BTL certified. Yeah, it's been, I don't know, say, but mostly an easy transition because of common ways that they set themselves up.
Yeah. You and I've been around the block so many times with so many different manufacturers. We got a lot of really great manufacturers in our industry, but it seems like when it gets to the building automation controls, there's some variations, but for the most part, they seem like they're pretty much the same. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. And what's funny is, and you've been through this before, you get approached being in this industry by every manufacturer under the sun at some point.
Right.
You should carry our stuff. You should carry our stuff. And my general response is, if you're going to come to me and say, we do an MSTP VAV controller, that's not enough for me, right? Everything we do, and we've talked about this before, how do I help my customers win more work? What do you do that I can't do? And how is that going to help them win work that they couldn't already win with the brands that we carry? Brody is not unlike any other business. We are not looking to take out of one pocket and just move to another. It's how do we get incremental growth? Who isn't winning because there's a deficiency within an offering? And the cool part is with Niagara is we can mix and match. I can put a Honeywell or a Johnson on the same trunk and look and go, the VAV solution here is better for this application, but the unitary or the supervisory is better over here.
Yeah.
And the customers have that freedom where they can say, I can mix and match vendors to win a project that sole sourcing may not have helped me.
which is Joe, we got to do a shameless plug for distribution, given that we're both distributors, right? That's why you want to go to a distributor, right? Because we handle multiple brands and we can help you pick best of breed. And somebody's got a better VAV controller and somebody's got a better unitary controller. We can make your sandwich any way you want it, right?
That's what it is, Eric. And I think that's where it's funny in talking about it. ABB was certainly reluctant early on, right? They're going, our way to market is contractor direct. We already have contractor direct partners. And I would say they were skeptical of what can distribution do for us. I would say 2 years later, they have found out what that means.
Yeah.
And we were the very first distributor they ever opened in for their building controls. And now they've opened a few.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have found success in that when a contractor comes to us, we can evaluate what they're trying to accomplish and know when their product fits.
Right. Joe, it's funny because you look like a banker. I wish I could look more like a banker, but if you think about what distribution does, because I'm answering the question, if I was a contractor, I think there's a perception that, well, it's just better to go direct to a manufacturer. And I would debunk that by saying, well, a couple of things. First of all, one of the roles that distributors play is work like banks, right? If you've got a job and you need a little bit of extended terms or whatever, we're your huckleberries, for lack of a better term, right?
Yep.
Not that we like to be dragged out too long. If you're a contractor direct or one of these big vendors and you're 31 days out, you're most likely shut down. There's that aggravation of that. I think they perceive that they get a little bit better price, and they might. But I think the other side of it is the additional margin that maybe we get as a distributor. We're investing that in functions and people that you don't have to, right? I'm just such a big proponent of two-step distribution, obviously, and part of that self-serving, but also a big part of it, I think, Joe, is logical, right? We can really create value for people. And do you see that as well?
Oh, sure. And I think that even to my conversations with ABB and other vendors, it's always, look, not all the distributors are built the same way either, right? This isn't a single solution thing where they're going to find that everybody in every market does the same thing or the things that they want. But when it does work, and I believe with Brody, our customers have proven out for them that it works, and I'm sure your customers are the same way. When it does work, it works to a success that they could never achieve directly. When you're an independent contractor and you are buying direct, you have numbers you have to now hit. Even if the product doesn't work the right way or the best way, you're obligated by dollar amounts that says, well, you got to use our stuff anyway. I met with a contractor last week who buys direct. And when I was showing him some of the other offerings that he had never seen before, and he was like, if my direct partner ever got word that we were even looking at something, they may cut us off. And I'm going,
yeah. Come over to the light. That's fine.
Yeah. How is that a great relationship for you?
Yeah.
Where it's not, I enjoy doing it, I'm held hostage.
Yeah. Said.
And so I'm sure that there are direct guys that enjoy that process, but I think they miss out on the opportunity to explore and try.
Yeah. I think it makes sense probably if you're in a rural area and there's not, but a big city, the distribution I think really helps you out with that. Because in the big city, most owners are savvy to the fact that they want to have choice, right? So they want to be able to, and if you're a distributor and you know this and I know this, man, our reputation is based on the trust that our customers have with us. So we're not going to recommend a bum product to anybody, right? And because we do, first time we do that, we lose that credibility. So among other things, I know you're a research hound. I am too, meaning that you're going to these conferences, you're studying, you're learning about the best of breed with different products. You could tell me right now the difference between this, the price, the functionality, or whatever. And to your point, you're not going to get that if you're factory direct necessarily.
Yeah, we do our homework going back to your original, okay, what was the attraction to the ABB thing? The first part was certainly somebody that I trusted within the industry working in there and going, okay, what's your thoughts and opinions about what, and then it's, all right, do you do the Me Too stuff, right? I don't need another line for the sake of having another line.
Yes.
And so now it's what's the technology that you solve? What advantages do you give? And going back to it, some of it's just like the incremental winning of work, right? And ABB certainly checked many boxes. And probably the number one box that they checked was their support, their hand-holding. And I equated it to somebody. I said, it's funny. And we're still in this phase, but we're basically dating. And as anybody knows, when you're dating, we're never going to fight. I would never have a fight with you. All I want to do is talk to you, whatever movie you feel like watching, whatever food you feel like eating, and you're so agreeable. And we've been in that state for quite some time. And it's certainly at some point, it won't continue to that level, but they have gone over and above their attention to us and to our customer base that is looking to adopt it. And that's won them hearts and minds of a lot of people.
You just hit it, Joe. You just really hit it. That customer support and that feeling you're special, like the honeymoon goes on forever phase, makes such a difference. I would always talk to my people and say, in business, there's people you have to do business with, and there are people you want to do business with. And we always want to fall in the category of want to do business with. And it sounds to me like ABB is somebody you want to do business with. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I had a contractor who actually got to see the product at the AHR show, and they are a direct partner of a brand we don't carry. And they tried it out on a job, and I had known that they were in contact with the local rep who was getting them some support. And I followed up. How did that go? And he was like, I would buy their product just because of that alone, without literally without anything else. And it was like, it's great that they're experiencing exactly what I've experienced to this point. And that's one of those things in distribution where you're dealing with a contractor that is buying product I can't sell from somebody else. And within the first job they've done, he is convinced that they are a better fit. And that's just from the support aspect. So
that's so encouraging to hear.
When you've paired it correctly.
Absolutely. That's so cool. That's so cool. Any other thing that sort of stands out regarding vis-a-vis the product that you mentioned? You look for products that fill gaps or niches that maybe you weren't getting as much as you wanted to out of your existing portfolio of products?
Yeah. What I was looking for was, I think to some degree, sometimes it's change of brand, right? You have guys like this example where you have a contractor that's buying from somebody else, and to give him something within our existing portfolio that there's plenty of coverage, right? And then would also, to whatever degree, if you offer up a brand that is common to your marketplace with your existing, like, very loyal partners, they're not happy that there's a new guy in town that isn't really in there for promoting it. Brand separation was something that I was actually like, all right, this is something. And it's not something that's generic, right? There's certain brands sometimes that somebody comes to you and I have Steve's controls, and you're like, Steve's is not a brand that if my guy walks in and says to an end user, I'm repping Steve's, they're going to go, I'm in.
Yeah.
But if you say I'm repping ABB, the customers, the first response that I've gotten is not ABB is a lesser brand. It's, I didn't know they did controls. Oh yeah, they do. But our experience in other areas with ABB has been great. So I think brand differentiation was one. There was other things that I looked at the time in which we adopted it, like their plant controllers had handoff auto switches on, and I'm saying plant, but even down to on some of their unitary.
Okay.
And that wasn't common across all of the SKUs that we offer within the lines that we were currently doing. And that comes up frequently is I need that. So that was something. They offer what they call uniputs, which in our world is just a universal IO.
Okay.
And we have some brands that advertise it, and depending on the SKU number, that's not as fully featured. So as an example, we have some, depending on the SKU, where they can't actually they'll say it's a universal IO, but it doesn't do a digital out. So it's mostly universal IO. Yeah. And so they offered that. Those were a couple of things. One of the things that struck me early on was they asked us, what are we missing in our portfolio to make us better? And
great question.
We had mentioned to them, and I think that they got feedback from some others, UUKL was something that we had a gap in. None of the brands that we carry could do fire smoke. And we have had that asked of us for literally years. As long as I've been in the industry, somebody has said it, they needed it. And we keep hearing it's on the roadmap of this brand or that brand, but they took that to heart and they started testing earlier this year, and they expect to be done before the year's done, and they will actually have it.
Wow.
So like you're doing the wow, and you know how hard it is. And I'm not finding fault in manufacturers because they're running businesses. It was just great early on in that honeymoon stage where somebody's, what do you need? And we say, this is what we need. And they go, okay, we'll do it. And then they do it. And you're like, all right. And that's a gap that still, and I know some of the other brands that we rep are maybe around the corner from having that, but they took it as an initiative. They're wall sensors. So they use a 4-wire wall sensor, but what they do a little bit differently is the wall sensors, one aspect of it is has digital inputs built in. So let's say you needed a knock sensor, you would be able to pick that up. That was really interesting. Their wall sensors have a programmable LED ring, if you will, around them. So it can be left off. However, you can program it to initiate based on any reason you want. The CO2 level gets high and it can turn red. And so
cool.
Yeah, neat. And so once again, does this win you every job? No. Is it a differentiation? Yeah. You can just somebody walking into a very large production area and being able to see if it's red across the way, and that means an alarm. Where else would you get that?
It's the little things, right, Joe?
That they really did, Eric, was they invested in the other side of the business, and which has nothing to do with what I can do, right? They came out with a couple of tools that are software tools. They have a program called AeroBT, which is a balancing tool. So their wall sensors have Bluetooth built in, but even over Wi-Fi, over a network, the AeroBT allows you to balance just from your cell phone. Free app on your phone, balance. And that is something that I said, maybe not unique, but it was unique to us, right? It was something that wasn't offered at the time in which we started. But that saves me nothing, but that certainly saves a contractor a lot. Right?
Yeah. It's the little things, right, Joe? The little things, right?
Little
Just
things.
Details.
They recently released something called AeroCT, which is a commissioning tool. You can actually set up commission controllers right from your cell phone now. And that takes the need of the laptop and learning laptop software out of the picture. So it was those kind of attention, that attention to detail that was like, you're getting it. You're actually connected to what the end users are really asking for. And I'm saying end users, but it's contractors doing these kind of installs. But even to that extent, the end users have their own apps and interfaces that they can get in. So those were things that was enough for me to go, I want to at least show my customer base, some of the people that have asked for some of these things in years past, get your feelings and opinions on it.
That's so cool, Joe. And dude, they've bought Brainbox, didn't they? So they've got artificial intelligence and stuff like that too. They're building into things, don't they? Or?
They partnered with Brainbox.
Okay.
And they were offering the Brainbox solution, and they still can. What they worked out in their partnership with Brainbox is ABB actually had a multi-site retail solution that Brainbox is managing now, which is probably a very good fit for what Brainbox offers and what still getting into this multi-site retail business. So, yep.
Very cool. Let's both say hi to Julie Patron. She runs marketing for ABB. Hi, Julie.
Julie, we love you.
She's awesome. Cool. Dude, listen, as we wind down a little bit, let's tell our audience a little bit about Brody Precision and what you guys do.
I appreciate that. Brody Precision is basically a building automation distributor. Territory is pretty large, going from South Carolina. We're actually all the way up into New England now and all of Pennsylvania. So all those states in between. We operate in a kind of a different way. We don't sell to end users. We're fully invested in our contractor, and helping them win work is basically what we do. Yeah, I mean, looking at new product, offering new solutions, and supporting everything we do is our success plan.
Okay, Joe, man, let's take a look at looks like you got the tennis shoes, dude. What's up with the tennis shoes?
I got a lot of shoes. I don't
Did
know.
ABB give those to you when you signed on in the baseballs?
I wish. No, that's only half. The other half is on the other side of the camera.
So you're a shoe guy. That's cool. I didn't know that.
I do some cool sneakers.
There you go, brother. Listen, what did ABB didn't give you sneakers? Did they give you anything to look at? You got anything you can show us regarding ABB? So, what do the controllers look like? Are they sexy looking?
Oh yeah, this is their. This is an IP controller.
Okay.
It has your universal inputs at the top and the uniputs at the bottom. This one will do 7 uniputs, which is the UIO, and then it actually has an additional one that has a full, I believe, 8 amp relay output.
8 amps.
Yeah.
Damn,
you drive
dude.
a pump.
You could.
The other cool part is they give you a QR code, as you can see, and if you're unsure about what you're doing, all the documentation for the product is right there. So somebody could wander in, hold up their cell phone, and they'd get all the documentation.
Really cool.
You have the wall sensor too.
Oh yeah, let's see the wall sensor.
Excuse me. So that wall sensor.
I like the curves.
Here.
Yeah. Oh,
these
yeah.
are what glows right there.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Really cool.
Pretty razor thin.
Yeah. That's handsome.
Really neat. Customers have really liked it. I've had some great responses, especially like the very first major response I had was a contractor's first job, showed up at a job site with the balancer. The contractor's first project, never had done balancing before. He said, Joe, I met with the guy, showed him in about 5 minutes where you download the app, how you use it. And he told the guy, said, I'll be in the building if you need me. And he said the balancer was nervous because he is used to the contractor walking around.
Yeah.
And he
was able to do it himself.
So he said, the guy goes, you're leaving me. And he said, I'll be here if you need me.
Nice.
And he said he never heard from the guy again. That was it.
Wow.
Balanced the job, walked away, and it was done.
Wow.
And he's done a couple of projects since then. And it's something that a contractor, that's one of those things it's hard to quantify, but he doesn't have to worry about that part of the project.
No, the details are really cool, man. It's a fascinating product on ABB. So we'll put some links in the show notes so people can find out about that. And Joe, how do people get a hold of Brody? I'll put links in the show note for that too, but why don't you just tell them?
Yeah, we have obviously our website, www.brodyprecision.com. If anybody needs to contact me about any of this stuff, you can hit me up on an email. I'm sure Eric can put a link into my email. And our territory is limited, but we're here to help. So I have certainly talked to people throughout the country, and I can't sell everybody everything, but I don't mind answering questions about it. Our industry is one of those that we take care of our own. So
absolutely.
People have questions. I'm sure they can, contact me, but I will point them in the right direction if we're not able to facilitate.
Joe, that's so great of you. And you've got such a great reputation. I'll also put a link in the show notes to our first interview where we talked about your philosophy about sales and taking care of customers, which is a must listen, especially if you're new to the industry and want to know how to make a name for yourself. Joe's kind of got the blueprint, man. But big fan, Joe, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show.
Eric, anytime. Always look forward to it. I'm sure we got more product we can talk about.
Let's get you back on, man. Maybe we'll do a quarterly review. We'll pick a product and review them, man.
Yeah,
that'd be great, man. Awesome, brother. That's Joe Chandler from Brody Precision. Joe, you the man.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
Well, there you go. That's another week on Control Talk Now. I really appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to register for the Belimo event. Thanks to Joe Chandler from Brody Precision. We'll see you next week. Until then, remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant. As Hunter Thompson used to say, buy the ticket, take the ride. And as Kenny Spires used to say, indeed.